Hey everybody, this is Ashley Leftwich and welcome to my Module 5 presentation on extended reality. And in this video, we're going to talk about extended reality, what that is, technological features that it brings to the table, instructional benefits, potential implementation specifically in my workplace, and then some key takeaways I had. So it's important to note as we're talking about extended reality or XR, what this means. And so extended reality is like the umbrella, and augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality all fall underneath that. And as you see, they create this triple Venn diagram and all have pieces that overlap each other. Um, I'm particularly interested in the augmented reality, the digital layover physical elements. I've had exposure to virtual reality, a fully immersive digital environment with things like the virtual field trips and the Google Glasses. But the augmented reality is really what takes it to the next level for me. I really liked that. So as we keep looking, some of the technological features that we see with XR, we're learning through experiences, which I really enjoyed because one of my favorite professional developments that I've experienced was Get Your Teach On, which was by Hope and Wade King's foundation. And this started through their book, Be the Wild Card, and it's all about learning through experiences. So this was right up that alley. And I thought it was really interesting how it can be implemented in a digital way that's not just completely transforming your classroom. And then immersive lessons. So these lessons are not just your run of the mill paperwork or reading a book or even reading an article online type lesson and doing research. It is fully immersing students in the content and exposing them to this content in different ways. And I really liked the field trips aspect that we see. And that was really my first exposure to XR was through the virtual field trips with COVID-19. That was, a big thing for my kids. We'd have a field trip to a theme park that they'd never been to, or a field trip to a certain zoo. And at that point I was teaching first grade, so that was really the scope of what I thought was available. And now seeing all that really is encompassed with this extended reality is just mind-blowing. But what I really love is that it's accessible across distances. That means that not only do my kids here in East Texas have access to this, but so do kids in New York, so do kids in California, so do kids in Seattle. And although that digital equity is a big factor there to being able to access it, the time and space and distance of that is not a factor. But then also the scope of interactivity. There's so many broad ways to use this and be able to interact with XR that it's really limitless. And I thought that was just an outstanding and astonishing technology feature that XR encompasses. So with that, the instructional benefits. So of course, those technological implementations and technological benefits were outstanding, but they also tie into these instructional benefits. So again, student engagement. We know that gamification is not only a trend, but a proven way to keep students engaged, especially with all the new technology things that we see out and about for students. But also, XR brings more student collaboration, especially when students are doing things like the a trivia thing, like similar to in one of the articles that had it had a tomb and then it was asking you to crack the code. Students are going to be motivated to collaborate and be engaged in that, because who doesn't want to do an escape room or find the hidden treasure? And even if it is some digital coins, I find that students have worked better for some digital coin like that in a school resource that we have than they do for something that I can give them. But then also, because of the learning through experience, we see a lot higher information retention. Students are going to be able to recall that experience that they learned through and be able to retrieve that information more readily, because it is such a huge memory maker. But then also with XR, one thing that I love is that it's free of distraction. I mean, sure, if the Wi-Fi goes down, yeah, that's a big problem, but you're not going to be distracted by students on their cell phones or trying to look up YouTube videos because they are so immersed and engaged in the activities. And I think that is just an outstanding benefit in and of itself. So, with this, I really had to take a step back and examine potential implementation. With my campus, as I've said before, internet access is not always reliable, being in a small rural or more rural area. But I could see us implementing this in my fifth grade math classroom, especially as we're coming to review information for the STAR test. Um, so we see these review games such as Kahoot or Blicket, but I really think that using something like XR would be an outside of the box way to create not only student engagement, but also the experience for these students to be able to recall and retain this information on a deeper level. This year, I have 70 students, and of those 70 students, I have a embarrassingly large number of students who did not pass their fourth grade math STAR test come to me. And so a huge hurdle I'm seeing is replacing and rebuilding those gaps that they came to me with. And, those aren't things I can control, but I can control how I immerse them in the content. And I really think after doing more research and looking into XR and specifically augmented reality this week, that this may be the way to go to get them engaged and motivated and not burn them out before the STAR test. So that all kind of ties into my key takeaways. I am just enthralled with everything XR has to offer. Um, I'm 100% for creating core memories for students um, by learning through these immersive experiences. And I am blown and kind of baffled with myself that I haven't used this in my classroom at all. And embarrassed to say that because, my goodness, it's right there, an amazing resource to use and engage my students. And so that's definitely something that I want to do here soon and put out there for my students because they deserve to have such a meaningful and impactful and memorable learning experience. And I think this would be a great avenue for that. Um, I'm interested to see how XR is going to be implemented in the classroom in the future, not just in my classroom, but just across the board, because being able to study things like the skeletal system or organs of the body or land forms, the water cycle, my goodness, like that is just mind blowing how awesome and immersive that will be for students. And I can't wait to see how that all ties together. So here is my works cited. These were my resources that I used. Some were from our module and others were from outside sources, especially that xrguru.com. That was a really interesting white paper that they wrote about using XR extended reality in the classroom. So I hope you look into it, and thanks for watching.